Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So for you guys that are subscribed to me, you know I dropped a video about 5 days ago where I was talking about Bob Arum doing somewhat of a conference call, and he was talking about Mayweather possibly fighting against Manny Pacquiao. Now in that video I explained to you guys that Bob Arum, he believes that these boxing fans are like dumbass rocks. You could kick them in any direction, right? So in this conference call, Bob Arum, he sticks to the script and he starts kicking them damn rocks. He starts talking about Floyd Mayweather being afraid, he's a coward, so on and so forth, right? And I explained in that video, it's funny that he's saying this because like 2-3 weeks ago, he was just telling people, I believe the fight is going to happen next year. Matter of fact, I believe not only will the fight happen, but there's going to be a rematch after we get to see the first fight, right? So he goes from saying that, going in that direction, and then he goes into this direction. So not only is Bob Arum all over the place, but Bob is telling you that he's all over the place. He's basically telling dumbass fans, don't believe what I say, because I'll tell your ass anything. So after Bob Arum tells fans this, he tells them that you guys are nothing but dumb rocks if you believe me. I explained this in my last video, and right after I do the video, you scroll down, you look at the comments, and there's already a sprinkle of boxing fans saying, I agree with Bob Arum. Floyd Mayweather's a coward. He's a chicken. He doesn't want the fight, so on and so forth. So I just think it's hilarious that Bob Arum, he's calling these fans dumbasses, and they're still saying, oh yeah, I believe you. I agree with you, Bob. Now I see why Bob Arum does it. Because it's too damn easy. When you could tell people that I'm not even telling you the truth, and they still say, oh yeah, I believe you, you can't blame Bob Arum. You got to blame these dumbass fans for believing anything that Bob says. That is what I call comical. But anyway, since I dropped the last video talking about old Bobby, there's been more breaking news regarding the Mayweather versus Pacquiao fight. Shouts out to Arab King, who told me about it about 4 or 5 days ago, when it was actually tweeted by Showtime's Steven Espinoza. Long story short, Steven offered Team Pacquiao and Bob Arum $40 million and 35% of the pay-per-view shares to make a fight between Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And believe it or not, Bob Arum, he passed on the deal. Okay? This is according to Showtime. All right? Now, we know Showtime has no reason to lie, because Showtime has already said on multiple occasions their main objective is to make this mega fight. Okay? So they're already negotiating. Okay? We already have, Manny Pacquiao has already admitted in a couple interviews a couple weeks back that they're already negotiating a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Now, Showtime is corroborating what everyone else is saying. So we know that this is true. Okay? Once again, to the dumbass rocks, we know it was never true that Floyd Mayweather was just scared and he was running, because facts and numbers, they never lie. Okay? Facts and numbers, they never lie. So let's go back to the offer. So while Bob Arum is making all of these allegations, Floyd Mayweather is scared, and I know some of you guys may have heard just recently, I don't know what Manny Pacquiao is thinking about, but just recently, Manny Pacquiao, he also made a statement basically saying that, yeah, you know, we all know that Floyd Mayweather doesn't want the fight. They're saying all of this stuff, and they know that Showtime just offered them a deal to fight Floyd Mayweather, right? And guess who turns it down? For a 4th time, guess who turns it down? That's right. Bob Arum turns it down. Team Pacquiao turns it down, because they're all in the same stable. First of all, let me just say this. If I was Showtime, if I was Mayweather, I wouldn't have even offered Manny Pacquiao the 35% of the pay-per-view. I would have just said, you're taking this $40 million, and you're lucky to be getting that. because you should have took the damn $40 million before you lost to Tim Bradley and got knocked out by Marquez. Let that be a lesson, right? They are being overly generous by giving him 35% of the pay-per-view, okay? Now, I mean, just do the math, guys. Let's just do a rough estimation of the math right now. If Manny Pacquiao gets $40 million plus 35% of the pay-per-views, Manny Pacquiao is going to walk away with, at a minimum, he's going to walk away with $70 million. But he could make anything from $70 million to probably $100 million. Especially if Manny Pacquiao beats Chris Algieri. And if he does it with no controversy, where, you know, everyone is not saying, oh man, that was a straight up robbery. Algieri won that fight. Okay? If Manny Pacquiao wins this fight decisively, he stands to make damn near $100 million with that type of deal that they have on the table. All right? 35% of the pay-per-views. That fight is going to be the biggest fight of all times. There is no reason for Manny Pacquiao, Bob Arum, or anybody in that circle to turn down this fight. So I tell you, man, that's some foul stuff to me. That is some foul stuff. To know deep down that while someone is offering you a fight, you go to the media and you continue to throw red meat to the dumbass base by telling them, yeah, Floyd is afraid. You guys are right. He's scared. He's scared to death, so on and so forth. But at the same time, you over here turning down offers. Only in the sport of boxing, man. Only in the sport of boxing, you see the most ridiculous double standards. I mean, if this was all in a movie, we would be sitting there saying, that shit wouldn't really happen in real life. Come on, man. They exaggerating with this story, right? A man has offered Manny Pacquiao a fight at least 4 times. 4 times. They've turned down the fight 4 times. And who do they call a coward? They call Floyd Mayweather the coward, right? But we could go beyond Floyd Mayweather, because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. These decafs love to claim that someone is ducking, someone is cherry picking, someone is afraid, someone is a coward, right? Once again, I remember when Canelo Alvarez was calling out Floyd Mayweather, soon as he started calling him out, they start saying Floyd was scared, he's ducking Canelo. Even when Robert Guerrero started calling out Floyd Mayweather, people were saying Floyd Mayweather's ducking, he's afraid, right? But see, when fighters that these fans don't like start calling out fighters, like Edeslani Lara. Man, when Edeslani Lara called out Golovkin, a guy who's bigger than him, by the way, right? What did they do? They start hating Lara. Why are you hating a man for wanting to fight the best fighters out there? Why are you hating a man who's willing to take risk? Why would you be hating him? Andre Ward wants to fight Golovkin. Now they hating on Andre Ward, right? So you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. If you offer someone a fight and they don't like the deal, who do they blame that on? They blame it on the guy who offered the fight, right? If you call out a fighter, but these fans don't like that guy, they blame him for calling out the guy. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So, you know, going back to this Mayweather-Pacquiao situation, at the end of the day, you know, I truly believe that the fight, it will happen. I believe the fight will happen regardless if Pacquiao wins or loses to Algieri. Now, me personally, even though I think Algieri has a very good chance to win the fight, believe it or not, I would kind of like to see Manny Pacquiao win the fight just so we don't lose steam when it comes to the mega fight between Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. All right? But like I said, if he gets past Algieri, I believe that fight will definitely take place. I think right now, Bob Arum, maybe he's trying to wait to see if Manny Pacquiao goes in there and he knocks out Chris Algieri in the first 5 or 6 rounds. You know, he looks like vintage Manny Pacquiao, which is the reason why they went back to 140 pounds, because Freddie Roach and Manny Pacquiao, they truly believe that if they fight smaller guys, then he'll have a better chance of knocking him out, because they believe now Manny Pacquiao, he has a natural advantage over his opponents, right? So going back to Bob Arum and Team Pacquiao turning down the fourth offer that was offered to them, I would like to believe that Bob Arum is still negotiating. And Bob Arum is possibly waiting to see what happens in this Algieri fight. Maybe Bob is hoping that if Manny Pacquiao knocks out Chris Algieri in a very impressive fashion, kind of like that, vintage Pacquiao, Ricky Hatton type shit. If he does something like that, I think Bob Arum believes then they could ask for more money. But me personally, I think it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Manny Pacquiao blows this guy out or not. Because first of all, Manny Pacquiao, he left the welterweight division to fight against a guy with 8 knockouts. Okay? He's not knocking out Canelo. He's not knocking out Maidana. Now if they really wanted to impress or gain more leverage in negotiations, that's what they should have did. They should have fought an opponent that Floyd Mayweather already faced and knock him out in a more impressive fashion, right? They should have fought someone like a Marcos Maidana, fought someone like a Canelo Alvarez, a Robert Guerrero, and knocked them out in a vicious fashion. If they would have did something like that, then they would have had a little bit more leverage going into negotiations against Floyd Mayweather. But they didn't. They decided to fight what looks like the safest opponent on paper. A guy at a smaller weight class with only 8 knockouts. Once again, if Manny Pacquiao was really truly looking for the best opponent to face, he could have took on a Danny Garcia. He could have took on even a Lucas Matisse, because Lucas Matisse is known as a knockout artist. And he's only lost one time against Danny Garcia. But he's still considered one of the most dangerous fighters at the 140-pound division. And that fight would have been full of fireworks. They claim that they don't like fighters that move around the ring. They claim that it's somewhat of a nuisance that a guy is going to quote-unquote run in the ring. So how come you didn't fight someone like Danny Garcia, who would not have ran? And actually, I meant to say someone like Lucas Matisse, who we know is not going to run in the ring, right? I mean, even Danny Garcia, he doesn't really run either. But once again, the point that I'm making is we know for a fact you don't have to worry about foot movement when it comes to Lucas Matisse. But anyway, I'll close out with this. I was talking to someone at the gym the other day, a person who, by the way, admits he can't stand Floyd Mayweather, right? So he was telling me basically that, Floyd Mayweather, he ducked, whatever. I broke down everything. And, I break down things so much to where it's really impossible to refute it, especially if we're going back and forth having a real conversation. So even though this man hated Floyd Mayweather, he had no choice but to say, yeah, Dante, you're right. That makes sense. That does make sense. You know what? I didn't think about that. It was one thing in particular that he was harping on, and he had said to me, he was like, yeah, Dante, but what about that one time when Floyd Mayweather, he said after or I think before or after the Victor Ortiz fight, that Manny Pacquiao was next. And then after the fight later on, he said that I never said that. So this is what I said to him. It's funny how a lot of these fans, they have convenient memory. Because after Floyd Mayweather said that, now all of a sudden, a lot of fans, they want to forget that this is when Floyd Mayweather, he continued to call out Manny Pacquiao after he said that, he's next. I never said that. Remember, guys, this was around the time when Floyd Mayweather, he had to turn himself in. He was about to go to jail June 1st. He wanted to make the Manny Pacquiao fight May 5th. Once again, for the 1,000th time, what did Bob Arum say? Bob Arum said, we won't be ready to make the fight till June 1st. Coincidentally, the same day that Floyd Mayweather is going to turn himself in. He said, because we're building an arena that won't be ready till June 1st. So for that reason, sorry, but we can't accept Floyd Mayweather's offer. This is what Bob Arum said. All of this shit is documented, okay? You guys can look up all of this. Once again, these are facts. This is coming from the horse's mouth, all right? Now, would it surprise you if I tell you that the whole story about this arena that's supposed to hold 50,000 seats was nothing but a big ass lie? Of course it wouldn't surprise you, right? Because we know what type of person Bob Arum is. He's the type of person that will tell your dumbass whatever because he believes that a lot of you fans are dumbass rocks. So another thing when it comes to Floyd Mayweather saying this, a lot of people have to understand something. Floyd Mayweather does not like to reveal what he is going to do next. Why do you think he tells people, I have a surprise in May? Why do you think he's telling his dad, stop telling people what I'm going to do next? Why do you think I told people it's a surprise? He doesn't like to reveal what he's going to do next. Once again, I go back to the radio interview that Floyd Mayweather did with R.A. Rugged Man. When Rugged Man was going hard on Floyd Mayweather, saying, you know, you this. Okay, well, I understand Manny Pacquiao didn't want to take the drug test. I understand that, Floyd. But why won't you at least fight Shane Mosley? Why don't you fight him? You had other dudes in the studio. That's the fight I want to see. Yeah, man, I want to see the Shane Mosley fight, right? Floyd Mayweather could have easily said, listen, dumbass, I'm negotiating with Shane Mosley right now. So now what you got to say? But Floyd didn't say that. Instead, Floyd just kept ignoring what they were saying. And then next thing you know, it was only weeks later, it was fucking official that Floyd Mayweather was fighting against Shane Mosley next. You see what I'm saying? Floyd Mayweather, he has that type of discipline. I don't know how he does it, but if somebody was going hard on me like that, I would have said, fuck you, motherfucker. I'm fighting Shane Mosley next. Now what you got to say? But Floyd didn't do that because that's not the way he conducts business. Okay? So that's the reason why we don't hear Floyd Mayweather coming straight out all the time saying, I want to fight you, unless he desperately wants to make the fight. Like he desperately wanted to make the Manny Pacquiao fight before he had to go to jail. I think he felt, you know, if I'm going to jail, I want to make the biggest fight ever before I go in. Right? And thanks to Bob Arum, we didn't get to see it then, and we didn't get to see it before that because of Bob Arum and because of the whole team, basically. Once again, guys, everything you hear me talking about, you can look it up. This is all documented. Matter of fact, I still have the statement that Bob Arum released when he said, we're not interested in the Mayweather fight at this time. We've elected to fight Juan Marquez a fourth time instead. And then Manny Pacquiao gets knocked out. That is truly what you call karma. That's all I got. I'm on to the next one.